Hello, this is lesson 8, and I'd like to talk for a while about what is called emergent language. I think all teachers of foreign languages have had the experience of language coming from our learners, which we didn't expect. It might come from 2 or 3 different people. They use words or a structure that they perhaps have picked up during their experiences of the language outside the lesson. And we feel the need to introduce it into our lesson. There's no better thing to do while the topic is hot, as it were. No? It emerges from whatever we're doing, usually during a conversational lesson. Everybody's speaking, everybody's engaging, everybody's interacting. Sometimes the emergent language is in fact in an error. That is, 2 or 3 students make the same or a similar error, and we feel we have to deal with that in the same lesson too. And it sometimes happens, of course, that we want our students to talk about something in particular, and we find that they haven't got the language for it at all, so we have to teach it. Right now, the idea of emergent language basically comes from, or I take it from, Scott Thornberry's dogme approach. That's the framework of doing lessons without a course book, materials like lessons where we haven't even got a lesson plan, and we go in and the lesson develops, it evolves according to what the students, our learners, want to say, where they want to take it. And we're very happy when it works in that way, I think. But some people are not when they think it's going away from their lesson plan. My own framework for that, I've been teaching, using a similar technique, which I call free speech, for nearly 40 years. And I love doing it. However, no matter how satisfying it is, both for learners and for teachers, it is a difficult approach for novice teachers, for teachers who have not got much experience and are tied down to their course books. They have a course book ideology, perhaps we can call it that, and they are lesson dependent. Of course, I'm afraid that training courses such as CELTA tend to teach lesson plan dependence. You can even borrow, steal, or buy lesson plans on internet now. Very bad thing, I think. And it's basically not the best way of doing things, I think, to always keep to lesson plans without giving learners the freedom to develop the lesson, as it were, themselves and together. We can do that in so-called conversation lessons, and we ought to, I think. Let me deal with the subject as it happens with my free speech approach. I do it without a lesson plan, because as I said before, I want the learners to take it along their road, as it were. And so the language that comes up, the emergent language, is frequent all the time. I don't use a lesson plan, but I do decide on the topic, the general topic, before I go in. And I do provide myself with a menu. Let's call it a menu. But I don't start with the starter first, and then go on to the second and the third course. It could be in any order. But okay, this menu is a kind of series of elicitation items, ways of getting responses from my learners. And language emerges, which I have never planned for because I don't plan it, except for deciding on the topic and having my menu. And any language which I feel needs dealing with in the lesson, I make a note of in my notebook, and then at some point in the lesson deal with it. It might be immediately, it might be later, it might even be the next lesson. Or I write it up on the board and deal with it during the lesson itself. And then use a series of activities in order to practice the structures, the grammatical structures, the vocabulary items that have come up and that the learners need. I think that's the point about it. They need it because it has come up during the conversation. Setting homework then, the homework becomes organic in the sense that grows out of the lesson itself from living matter, learners and me, the teacher, the engagement between us. It doesn't come from a book. The approach, whether we call it dogme or free speech, lends itself to the ideal of learner-centered teaching. It is, I think, worth following up. It's worth taking a few risks and experimenting with it. We don't have to throw our textbooks, our course books away. We can have them piled up on a desk in the corner and use them whenever we like. And of course, we could use the approach occasionally when we want to develop speaking skills. So a menu in no particular order does reduce the risks a little, at least the risk for the teacher. And the free speech teaching does make things quite exciting. You know, things happen that you haven't planned for. Anyway, that's what I've found. If you'd like some worksheets of the kind of menus that I produce, although you should make your own menus, of course, according to the classes that you're teaching, then simply send me a request on my email, which is elt@boardman.it. Or you can visit my website, which is www.b-english.eu. That's the end of this short talk. See you in lesson 9. Bye.